Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Sanctuary. It is Dynasty Monday. I'm here to talk some risers, some fallers, who should be buying, who should be selling. If you want to know what you should be doing in your Dynasty leagues as we approach those all-important playoffs, stick around. I'll get 10 players that I think are interesting and should be either buying, selling, rising, falling this week. We're going to dive straight into it. The big riser, he's been slowly creeping up the ranks since week one. Yes, Tank Dell, the diminutive rookie. He is the wide receiver 16 overall. As a third-round pick, that is absolutely mind-blowing. Averaging over 16 points a game, but he's had 4 weeks so far this year, over 20 points, 3 of them over 25. Those are week-winning points. So far this year, he's averaging 28% targets per route run rate, which over a 2.7 yards per route run. Those are superstar numbers. I may remind you, this is coming from a small third-round rookie. Yes, I was big on Tank Dell as a prospect, and I am loving to see what he is putting on the field. He is different to other small, fast kind of players that have been coming out of college. What he is doing as a route runner, as a route technician is phenomenal. He's clearly CJ Stroud's favorite target. He is open at will. He's my wide receiver 20 overall in my dynasty ranks. So yeah, he's a big rise this week. I'd happily pay a mid-2024 first rounder, which is crazy to think that I got him in a couple of my leagues in the third round. A big riser so far this season, and I'm expecting that curve to continue to trend upwards as CJ Stroud is just balling, and so's Tank Dell right now. Another riser, another back-to-back week that he's been here. Trey McBride, what he is doing since Zach Ertz has been out is just phenomenal. The reason he's a riser, he ran 100% of snaps for the Cardinals offense this last week. No tight end for the Cardinals has done that in the last 2 years. He's averaging over 15 points per game since Zach Ertz went out. That's like top 3 numbers at the position. The guy's just producing. I think he's now in that top 8 tight ends category as an asset, and I'd happily go and pay a late first for him. I think you're probably buying at the right time. I think he's a hold if you're looking to move on from him. Maybe you can go and acquire him now, because I think this offense is going to tick up over the next few weeks as Kyler Murray starts to get his legs under him. We're only going to see more positive things from Trey McBride. Another riser, another rookie, Jahmyr Gibbs. He's the running back 6 overall in points per game. Yes, running back 6. We had all the hype about Bijan in the offseason being, there's a rookie running back that is always a running back 1 by the end of the year. It's Jahmyr Gibbs, not Bijan Robinson, averaging 18 points a game. The biggest thing is that he's doing everything we knew about him. He's explosive and he's getting used in the passing game. Exactly what he said in the tin. 28% targets per route run rate, over an 8% big run rate, which is phenomenal. He's easily worth, an early top 4 pick in the Superflex League. I think you'd have a struggle buying him if you're going out to acquire him. You're probably looking to buy high. Maybe you've missed the boat on acquiring him. Maybe he's going to be one of those assets that priced too high to go out and get. So maybe you just need to accept that as a loss and move on to the next year, move on to the next back that maybe you can acquire before they blow up. The next one, this is a little bit under the radar. Ty Chandler. Okay, the numbers aren't incredible. Running back 61 overall, 3.5 points. He's only had 1 week in the top 24, but some underlying numbers. 24.2% first down rate. Alexander Mattison's at 14.1. Yards per carry is better. And I will be honest, he looks twice as explosive as Alexander Mattison. If you put the tape on, he looks like a far better back. Yes, we've seen it from Mattison in the past. Yes, he seems to be struggling this year for whatever reason. I wouldn't be shocked if this offense by the end of the year was a Ty Chandler-led backfield with Alexander Mattison back into that complement role. I think that Ty Chandler is the kind of player that you could buy now for a third and sell him for a second in a couple of weeks, because I think he's going to get more and more work. Every time he touches the ball, he just looks explosive right now. And then the final riser, Devin Singletary. He's averaging 21.5 points over the last 2 weeks. Look, Dameon Pierce is injured. Dameon Pierce wasn't getting it done when he was healthy. I do wonder if this is Devin Singletary's backfield. We know that the Texans are pushing for a playoff spot. Are they going to hand it back to Dameon Pierce, who's underwhelmed so far when he's healthy? Could we see Devin Singletary in that running back 2 mold as we head into the playoffs and down the stretch? Maybe a cheap acquisition that you can go and pay for a late second right now. Maybe someone's just willing to get him off their roster for anything because they think his value could plummet when Dameon Pierce comes back. But maybe a little sneaky ad that you can go and buy now that could help you in that flex spot as we get to the playoffs. If you're liking what you see, if you want to win more of your Dynasty Leagues, hit that subscribe button. We are closing in on 1,500 subscribers. Help us get us there before the end of the year. Hit that little subscribe button right now. Getting negative, and man, what a week for injuries. It was super negative from Thursday night. Joe Burrow, I have to talk about him. His value's dropping, but he was balling. Week 5 to week 10, once that calf injury seemed to sort itself out, averaging 21.4 points, and that was with a low ADOT. He's only at 6.3 ADOT this year. I think that come next year, an off-season of health, he's yet to have a healthy off-season since ever because COVID, the shoulder injury, the appendectomy, now the calf. Give him an off-season, get this offense back fully healthy and fully firing. I think Joe Burrow is going to be back into that top 3, top 4 dynasty quarterback. So he's a faller in price, which means you can go out and buy him. If you are anything but a true contender, you need to be knocking on the door of Joe Burrow owners right now. They're probably pushing for the playoffs. They probably need a quarterback. I've seen some outrageous deals gone down. I've seen Joe Burrow bought for Kyler Murray straight up. I've seen Joe Burrow bought for Josh Dobson at first. Like, some of the valuation of Joe Burrow right now is wild. This is a franchise cornerstone that you are never going to get this better of a buy window. So go out and buy, because you will regret it if you don't add some shares right now. Another faller, another quarterback injury. Deshaun Watson, obviously broken bone in his shoulder. Supposedly his shoulder would fall apart, disintegrate, I think was the phrase used, if he took another hit on it. It's hard. I think his value is probably the lowest it's going to be. Yes, he's not been great, averaging less than 15 points a game. He's not using his legs as much as we'd hoped, only just over 4 rush attempts per game. But maybe it's time to go and buy low. Again, I've seen some outrageous trades. I bought him in a league for Matthew Stafford straight up, which, look, I've got a lot of Deshaun Watson. I didn't want to add any more, but Matthew Stafford straight up, I couldn't turn that down. I think, again, go and sniff around Deshaun Watson, see what the price is, because I'd happily pay 2 firsts. And I think you don't have to pay anywhere near that to go and acquire him right now. The next faller, and this is a guy I want no part of right now, Austin Ekeler. He is the running back 10 in points per game. He's getting it done on volume. We know he's going to get the receiving work, but that big run rate, 2.94. We talked about Jahmyr Gibbs being up over 8. He's only had 4 out of his 7 weeks, top 24. He's just not getting it done. And I'll be honest, on Sunday, he looked slow. He looked unathletic, which is something I never thought I'd be saying about Austin Ekeler. I think the bottom is about to fall out of this team, this offense. I think the head coach is gone in the next few weeks. And I think, sadly, Austin Ekeler's days as an elite fantasy asset are probably gone. So, yeah, we're in that sell now, get out before the bottom falls out. Because if you're not a contender, if you're not pushing for a title, I think you probably need to get out of Austin Ekeler. If you can get a first-round pick, great, because I don't think he's going to be worth much in the offseason and beyond. The penultimate faller, Jaylen Waddle. This is a guy we had such high hopes for, combined perfectly with Tyreek Hill, Tua last year. They were such an explosive offense. Of course, they were going to do it again next year. But wide receiver 29 overall, averaging just over 13 points per game. He's only had 3 weeks as a top 24 wide receiver. He's sneaking down my ranks. He's outside the top 12 now. I just don't know if he is going to be able to produce the numbers that we'd hoped he would as a secondary option, maybe even a tertiary option when this running game's going. So, yeah, I think Jaylen Waddle, I still want him on teams. I still think he's a good asset long term, but his value is absolutely falling. The final faller, Mark Andrews. We've just had news just before I started recording that he might not be a season-ending injury, but it's a long-term injury. He was my Dynasty wide receiver 1. He's now my Dynasty wide receiver 3. He's in that tier with Laporta, Hockenson, behind Travis Kelce. He's still a stud. I think if you want to go out and acquire him in a rebuild, I think that's sensible because I think his value is going to go up next year. That's it, guys. 5 risers, 5 fallers. Who do you think you should be buying? Let me know in the comments below, and we'll speak soon.